Hello, I'm the producer, Jacob Cook, and UpTalk is a weekly, upbeat, uplifting, forward-looking resource show, offering expert perception and advice on personal growth and development. UpTalk will feature guests with inspiring stories and messages filled with informative, life-changing insights. The delivery of this information is through a blend of common sense and practical application. UpTalk will be a big assist in satisfying the hunger for knowing the path to success. And now to our hosts, Lou Vickery and Jason Will.
Hey, welcome to UpTalk. I'm Lou Vickery, and there is Jason Will.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
You know, it is two shows in a row, man. We're excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks.
You're usually out, on secret assignment somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yep.
One thing I'm proud of, you've lost some weight.
I have.
Yeah.
I have. I'm nearing 30 pounds.
Who?
Yeah.
30 pounds?
Like a whole person.
Yeah, well, that's good. See, at your age, you can do that. You know why you gain weight when you get along toward my age?
You just inactive? You're sitting around the house watching a lot of
you're
TV?
active, but you understand all that knowledge that you acquire has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So it just kind of filters down, and you expand.
Okay.
Okay, and it's awfully difficult to get rid of it too.
Yeah.
But I'm on the tennis court 4 or 5 days a week, so I'm all right now.
I think Dr. McCollough could probably help you with some of that stuff.
Yeah, they got a wellness clinic down there.
Yeah,
Which brings up,
Yeah.
his
See what I did
lovely
there?
bride is here with us today.
Yes.
Susan McCollough, our special guest.
Yeah, she's like an actress.
The Artist of the Year.
Really?
Yep. I mean, we got the Artist of the Year right in house with us.
This is impressive.
You'll see some of her work. Man, I sat there. You know what? You remember with Dave? We had Dave last
last episode, whenever
last
that was.
episode, whenever that was. And he in New York, and I was talking about when I lived there. I had to go to all the museums, but I just love to go and look at all those modern type, paintings and try to figure out what they were thinking. That would take it took me about a whole week to get through that one big museum.
Did you ever figure it out?
No.
Yeah.
I hadn't figured,
Yeah.
But I was doing a good job of guessing.
Yeah.
I was trying to relate it to my Garian background, though,
That's what Jacob goes there to, like, that's like the meeting place for his Tinder dates.
Yeah. Well,
museums.
We're excited. Susan McCollough is going to be our
Right.
special
Clean
guest
it up,
today,
Lou.
and the Artist of the Year. She's. We really want to kind of dig in and find out how she got started, and how she became so famous.
Yeah. So
she's
again,
travels
let
all
her
over,
do
takes
the
her
talk.
pictures
Let
all
her
over
do
the
the
world.
talking.
Huh?
Let her do the talking.
Yeah. You want?
Yeah. It's
me to
all
let her
about
do
the.
talking
It's about the
for a change?
guest. It's
All
about the
right,
guest.
Well, good. Well, she was kind
I
enough.
think everybody knows by now. You played baseball. You've written a couple books. We get
I
it. But this
know,
is about the Artist of the Year.
That's right.
Yeah.
We hadn't had too many Artists of the Year around here.
No.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
So let's get to it. You want
Yeah.
to?
Let's go.
All right. Hey, you are watching UpTalk. I'm Lou Vickery, and you didn't have your name tag on today.
That's like the first time in the history of the show you haven't said listening.
Listen, I didn't. I said watch. Didn't I? Huh?
I know we're making progress. I'm
Do you
excited.
understand? I did this radio show for all these years.
Yeah.
Right? And you listen. Well, here you do both.
Yeah, you do.
You perk up your ears and you also perk up your eyes. How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
That'll work?
All right.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back. You're listening to UpTalk and watching it too. See?
I jinxed
told
him.
you. Stay with us. We'll be back. Oh, welcome to UpTalk. I'm Lou Vickery, and we're so excited that you're with us today. We've got another wonderful guest this week with us, and we're going to get right to meet Susan McCollough. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Lou. How are you?
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm so excited to have you here. It's
Y'all have a
great.
good time in here,
Yeah,
don't you?
we do. We believe in having a good time. Not too many moments that are a little on the heavy side, and we try to keep, as the tone of the show says, UpTalk, and we try to make sure we keep everybody upbeat, uplifting, and
Sounds
use
good.
up words. But we are grateful to have you. We're excited about it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, that's great. Artist of the Year. We're going to talk about that, but I want to go back. I want to, if you will, share a little of your background, where you grew up, and we've had your husband, Dr. Gayla McCollough, with us before,
Yes.
and where you and Galen met. And can you do that for us, a little bit about your family?
Sure, I'd love to. I was born in the Bronx. My entire family moved when I was about 5 or 6 years old to Dothan, Alabama, where I really grew up and went to school there and high school
Just
there.
a little bit of a change there, huh?
A little bit. A lot. But my mother and father, hardworking people, and I have an older brother, 2 years older, who tells me, tells everybody that I'm 2 years older than he is.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was the funny one in the family.
And that's Joel?
That's Joel.
Yeah,
So,
I remember Joel. Yeah. And so, and you, and then you went through school there in Dothan.
Right.
And then went to the University of Alabama.
Correct. Graduated university.
Mm-hmm. And graduated with honors.
No.
Yes.
Not in the art department.
The honor in our category is that you were Miss Alabama or something the way you were there.
That was
right?
a long time ago.
Yeah, but okay. Well, we're gonna buy it and we're gonna believe it. Because think about artwork. Can I just tell you briefly a little story about my mom?
I would love for you to.
My mom will be 97 this year. And
wonderful.
And Mom was probably in her middle to late 70s before she started her artwork, and she still has a steady hand.
Beautiful.
Not a lot of stuff, but enough that she can do. So, that was her talent. And when did you find out that you?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about my mother.
Yeah. Okay.
She was a self-taught artist.
Yeah.
And she's the one, I think, that is responsible for me doing art.
Uh-huh.
She would always bring in Toulouse-Lautrec posters and put them in our breakfast room. She always brought art books into the house, opera, music. And I guess I started when I was about 6 years old, really. I loved color books. I would stay up all night long just coloring in color books.
Just coloring in the color book.
And then I graduated. You know how we're pretty much the same age. How they had pictures in the back of magazines, says draw me. Well, I drew them, but you were supposed to enter the competition. I didn't enter any competitions, but I figured I could really draw.
Yeah.
So that started it, but I never really got involved in it till I went to Alabama. And I took a CRIP course, which is an easy course. You get a good grade.
Well, we all had to have a few of those, didn't we?
I had to have one, and so it was in ceramics. And I never left Woods Hall after that.
But,
Almost double majored in theater and art.
In theater and in art. Mm-hmm. Did you do any theater work in those early days?
Mostly in high school.
Yeah.
I got too involved with the art department, and I knew that's the direction that I really wanted to go.
Really wanted to take,
yeah.
Yeah. And now, as you look back and started in your work, have you been pretty consistent with what you've done as far as the type of drawings and art painting that you do? I just wondered about that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I do things that are so completely different.
Yeah.
Each painting I do is different.
You see, the reason I asked that question is I have a sister that enjoys
Yeah.
it. And she started one way, and now she's doing something almost completely different.
I think it's the artist mentality sometimes that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just continue to strive to do something better.
Mm-hmm.
Every painting I do, I strive to get better.
Just get a little bit
So
better.
it's always, you never reach that plateau. You're always reaching.
Right. Now, before we get too deep in this, I do want to talk a little bit about you or your family. You have a couple children.
We have 2 children, yes.
Yeah. And
boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl. Grandchildren.
4.
4.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
It is. It really is.
Very much so, isn't
Yeah.
it? Well, I did want just to talk a little bit about your family. You know, in growing up in Alabama, in particular in South Alabama, I don't know any part of Alabama. You don't think too much about people who do a lot of artwork. Have there been, as you look back, have there been some people that you have looked up to that from this part of the country that were artists?
maybe not so much as this part of the country, but my mentor was at the University of Alabama.
Okay, so at Tuscaloosa, where the
Right.
university is.
And I was commissioned to do a piece for him in his retirement, and he was not doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
He's passed away now. But I painted a very large painting for him, and it was unveiled at the University of Alabama.
Yeah.
And it's hanging there in perpetuity.
Right. Susan McCollough is our special guest on UpTalk, and we're talking to Susan. Susan's Artist of the Year, and I do now want to ask you about that honor. It's international. To express to our viewers a little bit about the honor and where you have to go to receive that.
Okay. Well, first of all, took me completely by surprise. I was invited to go to Florence, Italy, where the award ceremony was, and it was announced then. And also, I received another award that evening. It was the selection of the top 60 contemporary masters. So it was quite an evening.
Oh, man.
And I went over. It was a quick trip because I needed to get back. My father, was still alive
Right.
at that time, and I didn't want to leave him, but he made me go,
Right.
and I'm glad I did.
Well, Mr. Nomberg's only been gone like a couple of years now.
Yeah,
huh?
3
He was
years.
well up in his 90s, was he not?
He lived to be 100 years old in
100
6
years
months.
old.
Yeah,
Oh, you're just a mere pup now. Just think of all the years you got to live.
I hope so.
Well, when you're having fun and doing something you love,
Absolutely.
I think it really helps,
Absolutely,
don't you?
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
And think about I know on a couple occasions you've been to Italy to display your work.
Love Italy.
And obviously you're well received there, huh?
I am. Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about that, though. How that came about. How did they discover you in Lower Alabama, that your work in a foreign country? I'm just a little intrigued by that. Okay.
Well, I really started. I never called myself an artist
Yeah.
because I didn't paint every day, and I didn't do it for a living, and it didn't take care of a family.
Right.
And I felt like that word artist was meant for somebody who was really struggling in doing art.
Sure.
And so, Galen, so I drug him to New Orleans to see a very famous artist there.
Uh-huh.
And on the way home, he was asking me, what are you going to do with all those paintings you've got in storage? And I said, I don't know. I guess I'll keep painting. He said, why don't you just hang them at the Institute? There's an empty
That's
space
right,
there.
yeah.
Does that sound like him?
It does.
So,
So you had an empty space there, and
Yeah, so I hung them there,
Right.
and the rest is kind of history. I'll be going into my 8th year of the gallery
Uh-huh.
and the studio.
Right.
And so then I entered a contest, my first contest, and it was the Florence Biennale, which thousands of people enter and only hundreds get in.
Oh, yeah.
And I was very fortunate to get in.
How about that?
And from there, the rest is history, really, because somebody discovered me there. I have an agent in Madrid, Spain,
How about that?
and I.
So you have agents in the artist's work just like you do in the writing books then, huh?
Right.
How about that? Susan McCollough, our special guest here on UpTalk. I just got to ask you, and if you always look, there's always somebody that kind of does some of the grunt work for you and does some of the stuff in the background. Well, you brought another special guest along with you.
I
Tell me
certainly
about
did.
Michelle, okay?
Well, that would take longer than what we have.
Yeah, okay.
Michelle is, she's just very good at everything she attempts.
Yeah.
If she doesn't know how to do it, she will learn how to do it. She wears many hats. She does our ranch, our institute, and just everything.
Does she
The
ride a
gallery.
horse?
She rides a horse.
How about that?
Loves horses, but she really runs.
And you
the-
do too. You enjoy riding too.
I enjoy riding.
How
I
about
used
that?
to enjoy riding. I don't ride as
Not
much.
much as you did.
But she runs the gallery for me. She ships every painting worldwide, and She does the computer, everything.
Boy, it's always wonderful to have someone like that.
Absolutely.
It's like
Couldn't do
we were
without her.
talking with Dave Kraychek as an author like I am, and talking about editors, you know.
Sure.
It's just that it's got to have somebody
Yeah.
to do that kind of work for you.
Yeah.
And it's so important. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back. We're visiting with Susan McCollough and talking about her artwork, and we're going to talk more about it on the other side. You stay with us. You're watching UpTalk. I'm Lou Vickery. All right, welcome back to UpTalk. I'm Lou Vickery, along with Susan McCollough, our special guest in studio today. Michelle's along with her right-handed person.
Absolutely.
Probably right and left hand, right?
She is both.
That's good. Susan, and as you look back, the early part of your career, you just kind of were storing these pictures, kind of putting them away, and then when your good husband, Dr. Galen McCollough, opened the clinic in Gulf Shores area, he had a space for you, right?
Right.
And how many years ago was that, if I may ask?
About 8 years ago
About 8
that I
years
started
ago.
painting every day.
Every day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. And then from there, you work is all over the world.
Well, pretty much.
That's pretty much,
Yeah.
I thought so. What do you, if you looked at it, if you were a young artist out there and somebody you wanted to talk to, what kind of advice would you give them?
I think the first thing I would give them as advice would be that to try to figure out what it is you really want to do in life,
Mm-hmm.
not just float through like I did.
Yeah.
And start working and getting your portfolio intact.
You probably, if I could back up, you probably knew what you'd like to do, but you had other things, priority of family and so forth going on.
That
at
is
that
correct.
time, right?
Yeah.
And then, but when you had that, the family was gone, then you started having time to really focus on, if I can use this, you can focus on you a little bit then, right?
Well, that seems to be, I finally had the time.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's true.
Sure.
Yeah. You got a studio over in Pensacola now, huh? You got something that, a place that you're showing your work there.
I am. There's it's a solo exhibition at Pensacola State College,
Oh, okay.
and it opened up this past month, and it'll be open till May the 1st.
May 1st.
So if you
I
get
need
a
to get by
chance,
that. That's right by the
go
airport
by
there,
the,
huh?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Great stuff. Jacob, when you go over and visit your lady friend, you take her to tell her you do know the artist that drew all those and painted all that beautiful work, okay?
Yes, sir.
There you go.
There you go.
See? There's so that she'll be impressed. That's what you have to do. You have to impress the ladies, you know. So that's good. Well, with that little bit, you gonna cut that out or you gonna leave that in? That's good.
You never know.
We know if as you look forward now, what's in store for you going forward?
Well, I've got 3 large white canvases staring at me in the studio, and I can't wait to attack them.
Hey, it's like a writer. In the old days with a typewriter, and I have to share this, Michelle. I put a piece of paper. I had all these notes, and I was going to start my first book. And in those days of typewriter, I put this piece of paper in my typewriter, and I stared at it for an hour, blank piece of paper, and just said, "Where do you start?" And then finally, when you do get started, it becomes a little easier
Right.
over time, you know. Well, you know, you were painting, and Galen's writing, and so. And do you do it in the same room?
We do.
Yeah.
I'm teasing. No, I paint in the studio, but he writes in his study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, he's prolific with that, with his
He
writing
is.
too. Yeah, that's great.
He has 3 going right now.
Does he really?
He does.
Yeah. What else is out there that you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, I have another exhibition coming up at the University of Alabama, so
Okay.
I'm going back home.
How about that? And that occurs
that's
when?
Very special. That'll be 2021.
2021.
That I
and
have.
you'll have work displayed there, huh?
Right.
Yeah, we'll have to get the word out about that, won't we? Huh?
That would be wonderful.
That'd be great.
And I
All
also brought you a book that I
Yes.
just had finished.
I'm glad you showed that. Tell us about the book.
Well, the book was many decades of my work, and I never did keep. Sure,
I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna open it up a little bit if I can.
I wrote you a little note in there.
And there's a lovely lady on the front there. You see that? There you go. Oh, let's just catch some of your work here. Now, what would you call this?
It's abstract.
Abstract.
Yeah.
Just and there
A little bit of geometry in there,
and as you look at that blank canvas, and you can start to see something come about.
oh yeah.
What's the first thing that kind of usually pops in your mind?
Well, I usually know the colors that I'm going to work with.
Okay, the colors would be probably the first
Yeah,
thing, huh?
yeah.
Okay.
And
Oh, look at here. How about this one?
that was a commission piece.
It was a
Commission piece.
commission piece here. Oh, how about that? That looks like Santa Claus to me. But and look at the dog. It looks like it's on the back of.
That was
Okay.
for a couple in Atlanta, Georgia. That was a commission
And the dog's
piece.
name is Cooper. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about that? Isn't that neat? Look at that. That's some great work there. And it's Living Masters, Susan N. McCollough, My Journey Through the Arts. Let's take one more look. Now, if somebody has an interest, where can they find this?
At Barnes & Noble all over the world.
Barnes & Noble. Mm-hmm.
And we also have them at my gallery.
Yeah. All right. Now that leads into, tell us about your gallery, how folks that have an interest in learning more about your work.
Well, we're located in Gulf Shores at the McCollough Institute.
Now, just to make sure, that's Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Shores,
'cause
Alabama.
We have viewers all over.
And you go in through the rotunda and go out to the fountain in the back, and I'm located right on the left.
Mm-hmm.
And we welcome everyone.
Do you have a website presence?
We certainly do.
Tell us a little bit about the website.
Well, you mean the name of
Yeah, the name of it, yeah.
www.susannmccullough.media.
And we want to
Art.media.
make sure McCullough is spelled with an O. And
There you go.
yeah, I was born in McCullough, Alabama,
Yeah.
and it's spelled with a U.
That's
It's,
a different side of the McCulloughs
McCulloughs,
that came
that's
over
right.
where they separated.
That is true. You know, Susan, as I look on your work, and I've seen, it's just I think I told you this when I was down one time. I said, you know, Susan, as I look at this, I can see a ball game going on. Have you ever had one where you thought about it from an athletic standpoint? Did that ever? I don't know if I even mentioned that to you. I just looked at it and it looked like, and I might have mentioned Michelle somebody or somebody was with me, and I just mentioned this. It looks like we got a ball game going, like a football game going on.
Well, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's what you saw that day.
Yeah, that's right. It's what,
And it's what everybody sees that's what's so important in art. And that's why people enjoy it.
yeah,
And art, filters through to everything that we do in life.
right.
And I'm fortunate enough to be able to paint and hope people enjoy my work.
Right.
But I'm glad you saw
Yeah.
what you
Well,
saw
I did.
what
I
you
just
needed
said, I
to
looked
see.
at that and I said, it looks like
Yeah.
a football game going on.
There you
and
go.
But it's amazing, and that's what really is true, isn't it?
It
What
is
makes
true.
it work,
It is
because
true.
each time we.
I will never tell somebody, what I felt in
Oh.
the painting. I want them to tell me.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you, if you
Sure.
offer your opinion about it, but you just let them decide in
I
their
let
own
them-
mind
yeah,
what it's
and
about.
I get as much pleasure out of the people coming into my gallery
I can
every day
imagine.
and hear what they have to say
Excellent.
about the work.
And I'm sure sometimes it's something you've never even thought about. I mean,
Never thought
Yeah,
about.
that's interesting. All right, we're going to take another quick break, and then we're going to come back. I know we're going to I have a couple more questions I want to ask Susan. Susan McCollough, our special guest here on UpTalk. You are watching UpTalk. I'm Lou Vickery, and we'll be right back. You stay with us. All right, thank you very much, and welcome back to UpTalk. I'm Lou Vickery, and there is Susan McCollough. We have really enjoyed having you here with us today.
Thank you, Lou. I've enjoyed it.
Well, we appreciate you taking time to come visit with us. I know, once you get started in something, it can kind of consume your time in your life, can't
Yes,
it?
it does.
Yeah, and I know about that. Where do you get your inspiration? You look at that canvas and, what stirs you? Where do you come up with the ideas of what you're going to put on that canvas?
To be perfectly honest, Lou, everything excites me.
Yeah?
I get inspiration from everything around me. Usually when I look outside, and everybody looks around, well, what they see is very detailed work, and I see that.
Mm-hmm.
But then it goes into an abstract, and I can paint it in the abstract. And I love to paint abstractly.
Right.
And so my inspiration comes a lot of times at night when I'm falling asleep.
Yeah.
Are
you like me? You keep a little pad by your bed with a pencil?
I do.
Well, I guess we all.
But what I've done, and it may sound crazy to some people, but you know how you're falling asleep in a dream?
Yeah.
And that dream, you lose it for just a minute and then it's gone.
Uh-huh.
Well, I've trained my mind as I'm falling asleep to stay in that moment and in that dream and keep forcing it back so I don't let it go. And I can almost finish an entire painting.
Just like right there, right?
Right there.
Yeah. I've been, I always kid everyone. I said I wrote 3 books on the steering wheel of a car. Well, actually, what I would do, I had a little tape recorder right above me, and I just flipped my tape recorder on. And, I did a lot of traveling, not only in the car, but planes and everywhere else. And I remember sitting in a plane's chair, seat.
Sure.
Where I got my tape recorder going. I'm just talking away, and everybody's looking at me like, well, there's a nutcase. But I had a purpose.
But you got it done.
That's right. I wasn't going to let that thought get away,
Yeah.
Susan, it's been so great having you. Before we let you go, I would like, if there's something that you'd like to share about maybe a young artist or somebody thinking, maybe I'd like to do that, what kind of encouragement would you offer?
Well, I know that in the upcoming months, I'm going to be speaking to the honors art students at Pensacola State College and judging their art competition. And so in speaking to them, it's fresh on my mind because there's so many things that I've learned over the 8 years. I learned a lot in art school as well. And I painted all those years, but I never kept good records.
Right.
And I remember my mother always saying, Susan, you've got to keep records of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a journal that she had taken and written every painting I did, who it was sold to.
How about
and when
that?
I found that, I said, okay, I get the message.
Yeah.
And that's what I would tell young people coming up. If you're serious about what you're doing, make sure that you keep all of your drawings, all your doodles, everything that you do, because you will see the progression of your work over the years. And that's what this book has done for me.
How about that?
Yeah.
Well, again, the book can be found at the studio and at Barnes & Nobles.
Yes.
And ask for it by title or by name.
Right.
Susan M. McCollough. That's McCollough is M, capital M, little c, C-O-L-L-O-U-G-H.
Correct.
I got it right.
You got it, Lou.
There you go. Susan, thank you so very much.
Oh,
It's been a pleasure having you.
It's been my pleasure, I can assure you. And you've got a great staff here working with you.
Oh, well, we're right. We really are. We're really excited about it. Thank you, and we appreciate you joining us. Jacob, we're going to take a break, right? And then Jason will be back to join me on the other side, and we'll talk a little bit about our visit with Susan. You stay with us. You're watching UPTalk. I'm Lou Vickery, and she is Susan McCollough. We appreciate her.
Thank you.
Bring it on home.
Bring it on home. We bringing it home.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to UPTalk. Jason's back in the saddle over there.
Heck yeah, I got some good stuff.
Susan McCollough, lovely lady, great
Like an
interview.
actress, like a movie, having a movie star on the UpTalk set.
Well, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, so she's intimidatingly beautiful, and I hope she watches this episode.
That's good. Well, it was a super interview and a very talented lady. What'd you pick up from what she had to say?
Well, it's interesting. I didn't know what to expect from the interview, but I told her before we got started that Galen's episode was one of my favorites. There were so many one-liners that he pulled out from his experience with Coach Brian and just, the journey that he's been on.
Talking about her husband, Dr. Galen McCollough.
Yeah, her husband, Dr. Galen McCollough. So I was like, I don't know. The bar was set pretty high with him. And so I thought, what is she going to bring to the table? And, she had a lot of wisdom that she shared with us today. So the first thing I wrote down was that you never reach a plateau if you're always reaching. And so if you're always reaching for something better, you're never going to reach a plateau in life. And I just found that to be fascinating.
That is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reach beyond, right?
Yeah, just keep reaching. And so that she's never feel like she's arrived at as an artist. She's always, honing her craft and always on this path of mastery. And, I just thought that was really wise.
Yeah, I read somewhere that, and I'm trying to think of the exact quote, but it always says that you don't want to ever be able to grasp it in your hand. You want it to be just a little bit further, just a little further. Because when you grasp it, then you feel like, well, I've done it. Well, then, the easiest way to get knocked off a pedestal is to feel like you've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, and so you always want to be reaching just a little bit. Reach beyond.
Well, you can imagine if you've got, you mentioned it. She's got art all over the world, featured in galleries in Italy, has an agent in Spain. It would be easy for one, I think, to adopt a mindset of, hey, I've made it. I've arrived.
Sure.
I'm pretty good. But she, she has a very humble outlook on it.
One of the things I find extremely intriguing and interesting, she didn't really start displaying her work until about 8 years ago, when she got the, when she got the gallery at the location in Gulf Shores where the clinic, Dr. McCullough's clinic, is located. Big, beautiful place, by the way. Yeah.
So that was the next thing I wrote down. So once she got, out of her phase of being a hobbyist, let's say,
right,
and started to move into, somebody who was doing this activity professionally every day. She would get up and paint every day. Mm-hmm. The trajectory of success, 8 years. I thought she's been doing this 25 years to have art all over the world.
Right. You think about it. In 8 short years, look what she's done.
Now, she has been a practicing artist or whatever. I don't know what how we would classify that since, the University of Alabama.
Right.
But 8 years to reach that pinnacle of success, to where your work is world renowned in 8 years. That just goes, I think, to show you. She talked about focus. You asked her about what she would say to a young, upcoming, aspiring artist, and the first thing out of her mouth was about focus.
Yeah.
And so when she reached a point in her life where the kids that I guess were, to a certain age were grown, and her motherly role maybe was subsiding a little bit, and she could focus on her art, and she got up and painted every single day. 8 years to this amazing success.
I one of the talks I've given for years is the first thing. Like I want to make 5 points. The first point is this term: always be where you are. Always be where you are. Because if you always be where you are, that's your focus. And where you are, if you focus on it, that's where your heart's going to be. And so and it's hard to do it in this day and age with all the things that are, pounding away for your attention.
Yeah. You just think about it. other professions besides, if you're not creative, whatever it is, if you're analytical, it doesn't really matter. It's about, finding what you're good at, focusing and going deep on like mastering that talent or that craft or that skill.
You always loved your term going deep. You got to go deep, right?
She said, go deep and not wide.
Right.
And what can happen in 8 years, I think when people look at success and successful people, I think they're assuming, just like I had falsely assumed, that it had taken her decades to get where she was.
Yeah.
I mean, when she said 8 years, I almost fell out of my chair.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew because when I first met them was about the time she was really getting started. I mean, the first time that, well, actually, I think Dr. McCollough had been on my radio show prior to that. Mm-hmm. And but I remember him talking about it. He said, well, my wife has really now started displaying some of her work, her artist work. And I thought, well, my goodness, I'd probably like a hobby, but it's turned out to be much more than a hobby, that's for sure.
Right. And she said, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but she said, focus on your craft. Don't float through life.
Yeah.
Don't float through.
That's a great term, isn't it? Huh?
Well, think about how many people that no matter whatever they do as a profession, they're just kind of doing what they can to get by.
That's right.
And it took me back to her husband's interview, Dr. Gail McCollough, when he was talking about the advice that he's gotten from Coach Bryant, which is get a little bit better every single day.
Right.
And, what could happen if, you didn't give it your all or give it that extra edge and all those things. And just how congruent this kind of success journey is for most people, whether they're an athlete or a physician or an artist. It takes focus, it takes practice. I thought it was fascinating when she said that she has, at any given time, as many as 3 blank canvases in front of her. So to stay focused on what it is that she does.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And as you just you start with something white and turn it into something great.
Yeah, it's something that on our last episode, what Dave Kraychek said about staying in the tunnel.
Right.
As a writer, if you're going to produce a book, you need to stay in the tunnel. Stay in that tunnel of your creativity. But I would imagine when Susan puts up these blank canvases, that it keeps her mind focused focused in that tunnel of creativity, that's where she needs to be, because we all know this life has got a lot of distractions.
We have picked up some good terms here, huh?
Well, I tell you.
Tunnel, that's where the old tunnel vision comes in.
I don't know if I've said this before, but I should probably repeat it every episode, is that although, we have, 2 viewers and one of them is Jacob, I get a lot out of this show by the wisdom that is imparted on us by our guests. So it's a great investment of time.
We're getting out there much better than that now.
We are?
We got 3.
Oh, okay.
My mom is watching.
Yeah, we should probably tell more of our friends and family about the show. We should do better, get the word out, and we'd increase the audience.
I always tell, like with books, if you can't make money off your friends and family, who can you make money off?
I agree.
There we go. Well, what else did you pick up?
Well, that was pretty much it. There was one thing she said in closing about where she got her inspiration from. Mm-hmm. And I think there's something that we could all take from that, because she said that she's inspired by everything around her.
That's right. What's around her. That stood out to me.
Yeah, I thought that was so I started immediately thinking, what are we missing around us that can inspire us? But what are we looking over or looking past?
Right.
When it's actually all around us all the time. Right. And I thought that was just like...
Yeah, I tell you what, I
that
thought
was
that
awesome.
Really was a very valid point.
Yeah, so now I'm like, do I bigger fan of Dr. Gail McCollough or Susan McCollough? I don't know. I mean, that's a power couple.
It is, right? That's what you call a power couple.
Wow, what a resume. Holy cow.
How about that? Well, that's going to do us for today, huh? I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
You're going to be with us next episode.
I hope so. I hope, we talked about a little bit about the coast, and we try to talk about, life here on the coast. And I would like to invite people to come join us in this great lifestyle here on the coast, and go to jasonwillrealestate.com and find a house or a condo or a beach property they want to buy.
Slow that down. jasonwillrealestate.com.
Yeah, we should probably say it more times. You're right. jasonwillrealestate.com.
jasonwillrealestate.com. We got it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
By the way, our book.
Yeah.
Motivate.
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com, yeah. Or you can go to louvickerybooks.com.
louvickerybooks.com. We got a lot of websites. We got uptalktv.com.
Yeah, matter of fact, that's where they can, that's where I hope they'll see this episode.
We finally got we're finally getting all of our episodes up on Uptalk
and we're
TV.
part of Blue Television, huh?
We are.
Yeah, Blue stands for BLU, Business Leaders United.
Wow.
How about that?
That's awesome.
Hey, till we meet again, keep a smile on your face, keep happiness in your heart, keep optimism on your tongue. That sounds like a pretty good winner, huh?
It is deep.
Deep.
Bye, Lou's mom.
Bye. We'll see you next time. You've been listening and watching Uptalk. I'm Lou Vickery, along with Jason Will and Jacob Cook. We'll see you next time. Until then, have a good time. Right?
That's right.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Dan Vega, and thank you for watching our channel. I want to take a second to tell you about a resource that's helping thousands of people across the country, Blue University. Blue University is the premier online business school for entrepreneurs and business leaders. If you find yourself in a day-to-day grind where you've lost your joy, or you're just tired of struggling, then check out blue.university. That's BLU.university. I can promise that you receive nothing short of a multi-million-dollar education. And if you want a completely different life in 3 to 6 months and a way to create wealth in 5 years or less, then again, check it out. That's BLU.university. Find out why blue is the new color of success. Also, make sure to subscribe to this channel or to give us a good rating, but that's only if you see value. And when you do receive value, make sure to share it with someone else. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.